Hello there, Bronco family. Mr. Raines here, and I want to talk to you for just a couple of minutes about the flipped classroom concept. So, I want to get very technical, and then I want to be less formal in just a minute. But let me first give you some tidbits of information and answer a few questions. Question number one. You may ask, what is it? What is a flipped classroom? This is a pedagogical concept that allows you to reverse what you would do in class and provide it for the students to work at home, and then they can come to class and do activities here that they would traditionally do for homework. So we finally get to give the kids good teaching, good information that they can work on at home and then come to class and we can do all of those wonderful differentiated activities. Two, how does it work? It provides a pre-recorded lecture followed by in-class exercises. It gives us the accountability as well as the autonomy to be able to do wonderful things with students and to give them what they need so that they can come to class prepared for once in a while. Who's doing it is another question. It is a growing trend that many higher level educators are doing, but it's also been done in elementary school classrooms. It's happening here, there, and everywhere across the board. As teachers become more aware of what it is and how to do it, we're finding that it's something that everybody is willing to try. You may ask, why? Why is it important? Why should I do it? Being able to devote more time to application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation can also help us identify how our students are struggling in terms of critical thinking. We already know that Bloom's taxonomies say that the critical thinking rungs, or the higher rungs of Bloom's taxonomy, are analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And this gives us the opportunity to work more closely with students in class. You may ask, what are the downsides? With everything, there are positives and there are negatives. This requires careful preparation, and you must ensure the proper integration of in-class activities. See my classroom? Not that it's much going on right now. And also at home and out-of-class activities. You've got to ensure that the students are actually producing based on what has been taught. They have to view the videos. You may also ask, where is this going? Could you ever really fathom a K-12 concept of an online class? Believe it or not, many counties are doing different things to figure out how to use this kind of technology. It's being used with homebound students. It's been used as academic support for students that have been suspended or that are long-termed. It is also being used kind of like we want to use Bridget to give the best instruction to students who really need the help. And lastly, you may wonder, what are the implications for teaching and learning? Students receive more responsibility for their own learning, and they're also encouraged to be exploratory and to experiment and to stop just waiting on someone to hand them information. There's a couple of cue cards that I want to go over very briefly, and that will conclude the presentation. I don't know if you've been watching the news media like I have, but have you heard about digital info and the fact that we might be textbook free by 2017? It is said that our governor, Pat McCrory, wants to do away with textbooks. Don't quote me on that, but rather go and look it up for yourself. This is one of those ways that we can become more digitally sound even when we don't have materials. Many people don't have the textbooks and materials anyway. We've also heard of front loading. Many of us front load vocabulary, concepts, strategies, and formulas. Wouldn't it be awesome for kids to actually come to class with background knowledge already, because we've been able to tell them exactly what they need to know before they come? This strategy empowers students. They get to become the teachers. If we have students who are doing well with this information and we still have students that are struggling, we can peer and partner, and they can work together to educate each other. We've also heard of certain phrases as higher order thinking. We've also heard words or terms like differentiation, scaffolding, multiple intelligences. We've heard names like Marzano, Bloom's, and just for the record, names like Lucille Lazar, who teach us strategies for best implementation in our classroom. This enables us to enable students. In my classroom, I have this phraseology. We should be producers versus consumers. Consumers always wait for things to happen, whereas producers make things happen. My students will tell you that I talk about neo-slavery all the time. We have those people who are always waiting on somebody else to do something, always waiting on the next big thing when they can create and produce the next big thing. We're talking about teachers who facilitate instruction and teachers who facilitate what their students learn versus having to always do all the work. I can sit back and watch my students build, create, and construct and not wait on me to do all the hard work. Whenever we talk about direct instruction, we're talking about anything that's lecture-based, anything that the teacher does the majority of the talking, anything that the teacher has to provide or that the students cannot do for themselves. And whenever we talk about direct instruction, yes, it's very important. Our kids need teacher input, but this gives us a way to manage how that is done. We've heard that big number, 80%. If you're doing more than 80% of the talking in your classroom, you're talking too much. Well, what does that look like in terms of numbers? A 45 to 50-minute class session means that the teacher should not talk more than 3.6 minutes, or let's just say 4 minutes at a time. How many of us talk a whole lot more than 4 minutes? In a 60-minute class period, that gives you 5 minutes. In a 90-minute class block, that gives you 7.2 to 8 minutes to do your presentation, your instruction, to also do your reteaching, or to give instructions on any activity. So how does that work? How can I, in a 90-minute block, which we're going to next year, only talk for 8 minutes? Well, let's be real. Most of the time, all what we say is between 8 to 10 minutes anyway. We have to say it again for the kid who didn't understand the vocabulary or the language that we used. We have to say it again because somebody asked a question. We're interrupted by announcements, phone calls, people not doing what they're supposed to, classroom management issues. This gives you a way to narrow down what you actually have to say, give your kids the meat of the lesson in a smaller chunk of time. We're talking about chunking, we're talking about combining, we're talking about doing the things that are best for our students. And this is one of those things that flipping the classroom enables us to do. So that's all I'm going to say about that for now, because I'm told that I must present this at a faculty meeting, and I will give you a little more detail, a little more nuts, and a little more bolt to put this all together. But here's what I want you to do. Here's my challenge to see who actually looked at this presentation. On an index card or on a scrap sheet of paper, here's what I want you to do. Write your name, your grade level, and an example of a lesson or a unit that you would consider flipping. And at the very beginning of my presentation, I'm going to take these up without any prompts or any instructions, and I'm going to do a drawing, and somebody will get a prize. Your name, your grade level, and a lesson or a unit that you would consider flipping. Have a great day, and thank you for this 8 minutes of your time.